The arrival. The Zarkonian fleet emerged from hyperspace, a swarm of sleek, obsidian vessels that blotted out the stars. At the helm of the flagship, Commander Vexlor surveyed the blue-green orb suspended in the void before them. Earth, the latest target in the Zarkonian Empire's relentless expansion. Vexlor's mandibles clicked with anticipation. This mission would cement his place in the annals of Zarkonian history. Humans were a curiosity in the galactic community, a species that had achieved spaceflight but had yet to venture beyond their own star system. Intelligence suggested they were fractious, technologically inferior, and utterly unprepared for the might of a true interstellar power. Status report. Vexlor commanded, his gravelly voice echoing through the bridge. His second-in-command, Zira, responded promptly. All systems nominal, Commander. The fleet stands ready. Our stealth systems have kept us undetected. The humans remain oblivious to our presence. Vexlor nodded, his compound eyes reflecting the pale blue light of Earth's oceans. Excellent. Prepare the dropships. We'll begin with a surgical strike on their largest military installations. I want this planet under our control within one solar rotation. As the crew bustled to carry out his orders, Vexlor allowed himself a moment of reflection. The Zarkonians had conquered dozens of worlds, each campaign adding to their reputation as the galaxy's premier warriors. Earth would be no different. In fact, he mused, it might prove to be the easiest conquest yet. Little did Vexlor know, the Zarkonians were about to face an enemy unlike any they had encountered before. On the surface of Earth, in the heart of the Pentagon, alarms blared to life. General Sarah Chen rushed into the control room, her eyes scanning the array of screens before her. Report, she barked. A young lieutenant swiveled in his chair, his face pale. Ma'am, we've detected multiple objects entering the atmosphere. They're not ours, and they're not following any known flight paths. Chen's jaw tightened. This was the moment they had trained for, hoped would never come, but always knew was possible. Sound the global alert, get me the President and the Joint Chiefs, and someone wake up Dr. Ramirez. We're going to need his expertise. As the room erupted into controlled chaos, Chen allowed herself a grim smile. If these aliens thought they were in for an easy conquest, they were in for a rude awakening. Across the globe, as news of the alien arrival spread, humanity's response was as diverse as it was swift. Panic gripped some cities, with people fleeing to the countryside or huddling in makeshift shelters. Others responded with defiance, taking to the streets in impromptu gatherings of resistance. In New Delhi, hackers worked furiously to penetrate the alien communications. In Rio de Janeiro, engineers repurposed weather-controlled satellites into makeshift defense platforms. And in a secret facility beneath the Sahara, a team of scientists led by Dr. Kwesi Okafor raced to unlock the potential of a mysterious artifact discovered years ago. An artifact that might hold the key to humanity's survival. As Zarkonian dropships pierced the atmosphere, leaving fiery trails in their wake, the first shots of the war were fired. Surface-to-air missiles streaked skyward, most missing their marks, but a few finding purchase. Explosions blossomed in the stratosphere, and the first alien casualties of the war plummeted to Earth. Vexlor watched the tactical display with growing unease. This was not the unopposed landing he had anticipated. How did they detect us? He snarled at his crew. Our stealth technology is unparalleled. Zira's antennae twitched nervously. Unknown, Commander. It appears the humans have some detection capabilities we were unaware of. On the ground, the battle was joined in earnest. Zarkonian shock troops, encased in chitinous armor and wielding energy weapons, materialized in the streets of major cities. They expected to find cowering primitives. Instead, they found themselves under immediate assault. In Washington, D.C., Marine Corps Colonel Jake Rodriguez led a counterattack against the aliens attempting to seize the capital. His voice crackled over the radio, steady despite the chaos around him. Remember your training. Work in pairs, aim for the joints in their armor. "We are not going down without a fight." The streets of the capital became a battleground, with humans using every advantage at their disposal. Civilians joined the fray, turning everyday objects into weapons. A group of construction workers used their equipment to create barricades, buying time for military reinforcements to arrive. In Moscow's Red Square, Russian special forces engaged in close-quarters combat with the invaders. The aliens' superior technology was offset by the humans' knowledge of the terrain and their fierce determination to protect their home. As reports flooded in from around the globe, General Chen realized that humanity's greatest strength was emerging, its diversity and adaptability. No two battles were being fought the same way. Each region, each unit, each individual was finding unique ways to combat the alien threat. In orbit, Vexilor's unease had transformed into genuine concern. The tactical display showed far more red icons, representing lost Zarkonian units, than he had ever seen in an initial assault. "This is unprecedented," he muttered. Zera approached cautiously. "Commander, our ground forces are requesting orbital bombardment to soften human resistance." Vexilor chittered in frustration. Orbital bombardment this early in an invasion was an admission of failure, a tactic reserved for the most stubborn of resistances. To resort to it now, against a pre-FTL civilization, was almost unthinkable. Yet the alternative was to watch more of his soldiers fall to these surprisingly capable primitives. "Very well," he growled. "Target their major military installations and government centers. Let's remind these humans who they're dealing with." As the order was given, massive energy beams lanced down from the Zarkonian ships, carving swaths of destruction across the Earth's surface. Cities burned, military bases were vaporized, and millions of lives were snuffed out in an instant. But even in the face of this overwhelming show of force, humanity's spirit did not break. Instead, it hardened, like steel forged in fire. In the smoldering ruins of London, a group of survivors led by former SAS operative Emma Blackwood began organizing a resistance cell. Using the city's ancient sewer system, they moved unseen, gathering weapons and recruits. In the mountains of Afghanistan, tribal warriors who had spent generations fighting against foreign invaders now turned their skills against an enemy from the stars. Led by the cunning warlord Aziz Rahman, they launched lightning raids against alien patrols, using the harsh terrain to their advantage. And in the vast expanse of the Pacific, the crew of the U.S. Nimitz, led by Admiral David Chen, no relation to General Chen, prepared to launch a daring counterattack. With their carrier cloaked by an experimental stealth system, they planned to strike at the heart of the alien fleet. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, both sides took stock of their positions. The Zarkonians had established footholds on every continent, but at a cost far higher than they had ever anticipated. Human casualties were in the millions, but their will to fight had only intensified. In the Pentagon's war room, now relocated to a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Chen addressed the assembled leaders of Earth's remaining military forces. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've bloodied their nose," she said, her voice firm despite the exhaustion evident on her face. "But this war has only just begun. The enemy has the advantage in technology and firepower. But we have something they don't: an unbreakable will to survive, and a planet that we know better than they ever could." She paused, looking each person in the eye. "In the coming days, we will show these invaders why humanity has not only survived, but thrived in a hostile universe. We will show them why we are, and always will be, the deadliest species in the galaxy." As murmurs of agreement filled the room, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The aliens had made a grave miscalculation in underestimating humanity, and she intended to make them pay dearly for that mistake. In orbit, Commander Vexilor stared at the blue-green world below, a world that had already cost him more than he could have imagined. He had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, he found himself embroiled in what promised to be the fight of his life. The battle for Earth had begun, and it would reshape the galaxy forever. First contact. As the sun rose on the second day of the invasion, the true scale of the conflict became apparent to both sides. Earth's cities lay in various states of ruin, with alien dropships and human vehicles alike scattered across urban battlefields. Yet, for all their technological superiority, the Zarkonians found themselves in an unprecedented situation, a stalemate against a supposedly inferior enemy. Commander Vexlor paced the bridge of his flagship, his exoskeleton clicking against the metallic floor. The tactical hologram before him painted a picture he could scarcely believe. Red dots indicating Zarkonian losses far outnumbered the green of their successes. "Explain this," he hissed at his intelligence officer, Krita. The smaller Zarkonian's antennae drooped as she responded. "Commander, it appears we underestimated the humans' capabilities. Their military structures are decentralized, making it difficult to cripple their command. Moreover, their civilian population is displaying unexpected levels of resistance." Vexler's compound eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No species we've encountered has ever shown such tenacity." On the surface, that tenacity was on full display. In the ruins of Chicago, a ragtag group of civilians led by former firefighter Miguel Sanchez had turned the city's iconic skyscrapers into a maze of traps and ambush points. They used their intimate knowledge of the urban landscape to run circles around the alien patrols. Miguel wiped sweat from his brow as he peered around a corner, watching a Zarkonian squad march down Michigan Avenue. "Ready?" he whispered into his radio. A chorus of affirmatives came back. Miguel took a deep breath, then gave the signal. In an instant, the street erupted into chaos. Makeshift explosives detonated under the aliens' feet, while sharpshooters in the surrounding buildings opened fire. The Zarkonians, caught off guard, fell into disarray. As the dust settled, Miguel's team emerged victorious. They quickly stripped the fallen aliens of their weapons and armor before melting back into the ruins. Another small victory in a war of attrition. Meanwhile, in a hidden bunker beneath the Amazon rainforest, Dr. Isabella Santos hunched over a captured piece of Zarkonian technology. Her team of international scientists had been working around the clock to unravel its secrets. "Eureka!" she suddenly exclaimed, causing her colleagues to jump. "Look at this," she pointed to her computer screen. "Their communication systems operate on a quantum entanglement principle. If we can crack this, we might be able to listen in on their transmissions." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum physicist from Japan, leaned in for a closer look. His eyes widened. "Incredible. With some modifications to our existing satellite network, we could potentially create a global eavesdropping system." As the scientists excitedly discussed the possibilities, a messenger burst into the room. "Dr. Santos, we've just received word. The aliens are pushing towards Sao Paulo. If they take the city, they'll discover this facility." Isabella's face hardened. She turned to her team. "We need more time. Contact General Chen. Tell her we need at least 48 hours to complete our work, whatever it takes." In the skies above Sao Paulo, the battle raged. Brazilian Air Force pilot Captain Ana Luz barrel rolled her fighter jet, narrowly avoiding a burst of alien energy weapons. Her squadron was outnumbered and outgunned, but they had one crucial advantage: home turf. "Falco Squadron, form up on me," she commanded. "We're going to try something crazy." Anna led her fighters into a steep dive, weaving between the city's skyscrapers. The Zarkonian ships, unused to such tight urban combat, struggled to follow. Several crashed into buildings or each other in their pursuit. As they neared the ground, Anna pulled up sharply. "Now, deploy countermeasures." A cloud of specialized chaff erupted from the human fighters, filling the air with a metallic haze. The alien ships, their sensors confused, fired blindly. In the chaos, Anna and her squadron struck from multiple angles, their conventional weapons finding weak points in the Zarkonian shields. One by one, the alien ships fell from the sky. As the last one crashed into the waters of the Tietê River, Anna allowed herself a grim smile. Falco Squadron, return to base. We've bought our ground forces some time. Back in orbit, Commander Vexlor received the news of the Sao Paulo defeat with barely contained rage. How? He roared. How are these primitives defeating our best pilots? Zira, his second-in-command, stepped forward cautiously. Commander, I believe we need to reassess our strategy. The humans are using their knowledge of their world against us. Perhaps a more focused approach is needed. Vexlor's antennae twitched in agitation, but he nodded slowly. You may be right. Prepare a special forces team. We need to capture some of these humans, study them, find out what makes them so annoyingly resilient. As the Zarkonians plotted their next move, humanity continued to adapt and innovate. In a secret facility beneath the Afghan mountains, a joint team of American and Chinese scientists worked feverishly to reverse engineer captured alien technology. Dr. Lai Wei, a brilliant physicist from Beijing, made a breakthrough in understanding the aliens' energy weapons. Look here, she explained to her colleague, Dr. John Harrison. Their weapons tap into zero-point energy. If we can replicate this, we could arm our forces with weapons capable of penetrating their shields. Harrison nodded excitedly. Incredible work. Why? I'll inform command immediately. This could be the game changer we've been looking for. As dawn broke on the third day of the invasion, both sides prepared for what promised to be a pivotal engagement. The Zarkonians had identified a critical human command center hidden in the Australian outback. They planned to strike hard and fast, hoping to decapitate the human resistance. Little did they know, the humans were laying a trap of their own. Colonel Abigail Wright of the Australian SAS crouched behind a sand dune, her eyes scanning the horizon. Next to her, Aboriginal tracker Charlie Munkara pointed to faint disturbances in the red earth. They're coming, he whispered. About 2 clicks north. Wright nodded, keying her radio. All units, this is Dingo Actual. Confirm positions. A series of affirmatives crackled over the comm. Wright allowed herself a small smile. The trap was set. As the Zarkonian dropships appeared on the horizon, Wright gave the signal. Suddenly, the seemingly empty desert came alive. Camouflaged panels fell away, revealing a network of trenches and weapons emplacements. The aliens, expecting an easy target, found themselves flying into a kill zone. Surface-to-air missiles streaked skyward, downing several ships before they could even deploy their troops. Those that did land were met with a barrage of newly developed energy weapons, reverse-engineered from Zarkonian technology. The alien soldiers, for the first time, found themselves outgunned. Their shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, provided little protection against their own technology turned against them. In orbit, Vexlor watched in horror as the tactical display showed his elite forces being decimated. Impossible, he muttered. How did they develop such weapons so quickly? Zira's voice was grim as she replied, Commander, we're detecting energy signatures consistent with our own technology. It appears the humans have adapted our weapons for their own use. Vexlor's mandibles clicked in agitation. This changed everything. If the humans could replicate Zarkonian technology so quickly, the entire invasion was at risk. Back on the surface, Colonel Wright led a charge against the remaining Zarkonian forces. The aliens, caught off guard by the humans' new weapons and ferocious tactics, began to retreat. As the last dropship floated into the sky, Wright allowed her troops a moment of celebration, but she knew this was just one battle in a much larger war. In the Pentagon's new mobile command center, General Chen received the news of the Australian victory with cautious optimism. Well done, Colonel Wright, she said over the secure comm. But we can't let this go to our heads. The enemy will adapt, and we need to be ready. Her aide, Captain Rodriguez, approached with a tablet. General, we're receiving reports from around the globe. The reverse-engineered weapons are proving highly effective. Our forces are pushing back the aliens on multiple fronts. Chen nodded, her eyes scanning the global tactical display. It's a good start, but we need more. Get me Dr. Santos. I want to know if she's made any progress on cracking their communications. As humanity celebrated its first major victories, the Zarkonians were forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. They had grossly underestimated their opponent. In his private quarters, Commander Vexlor pored over reports of human history, wars, technological advancements, cultural shifts, all pointing to a species of incredible adaptability and determination. A chime at his door interrupted his studies. "Enter," he called out. Krita, the intelligence officer, stepped in, her posture nervous. "Commander, we've completed our initial analysis of the captured human subjects." Vexlor's antennae perked up. "And, sir, their physiology is remarkable. Their bodies are capable of adapting to a wide range of environments. Their cellular regeneration is unlike anything we've seen. And their brains." She paused, seemingly at a loss for words. "What about their brains?" Vexlor pressed. "They're incredibly plastic, sir, capable of forming new neural pathways at an astonishing rate. It explains their ability to adapt so quickly to new situations, new technologies." Vexlor leaned back, his compound eyes reflecting the stars outside his viewport. For the first time since the invasion began, he felt a flicker of doubt. "Thank you, Krita. You're dismissed." As the intelligence officer left, Vexlor turned back to the reports on his desk. He had come to this planet expecting an easy conquest. Instead, he found himself facing an enemy that grew stronger with each passing day. The Zarkonian commander realized, with a mixture of dread and grudging admiration, that this war was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. And as both sides prepared for the next phase of the conflict, one thing became clear. The battle for Earth would reshape the galaxy in ways no one could have predicted. Adaptive warfare. As the conflict entered its second week, both sides found themselves locked in a deadly game of adaptation and counter-adaptation. The initial shock of the alien invasion had worn off, replaced by a grim determination that permeated every aspect of human society. In the ruins of Tokyo, a group of civilian engineers led by Hiroshi Tanaka had taken up residence in the Akihabara district, once the hub of electronics and pop culture. Now, it served as an impromptu research and development center for guerrilla warfare tactics against the Zarkonians. Hiroshi wiped the sweat from his brow as he put the finishing touches on his latest creation. "All right, let's test it," he said to his team. They watched as a small, insect-like drone buzzed to life. Its outer shell, crafted from scavenged Zarkonian armor, gleamed in the dim light of their makeshift lab. "If this works," Hiroshi explained, "we'll be able to infiltrate their ships and bases undetected. The drone's casing should fool their sensors into thinking it's one of their own tech." As the drone successfully penetrated a captured piece of Zarkonian equipment, cheers erupted from the team. It was a small victory, but in this war of attrition, every advantage counted. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Mariana Trench, the United Earth Navy's most advanced submarine, the UEN Poseidon, glided silently through the inky blackness. Captain Alina Volkov studied the holographic display before her, showing the positions of Zarkonian ships in orbit. "Status report," she commanded. Her XO, Commander Jamal Hassan, responded promptly. "All systems nominal, Captain. Our stealth systems are holding. The aliens have no idea we're down here." Volkov nodded, a grim smile on her face. "Good. Prepare to surface at coordinates Delta 9. It's time we showed these invaders that humanity can strike from anywhere." As the Poseidon began its ascent, its revolutionary propulsion system, reverse-engineered from captured Zarkonian tech, allowed it to move through the water at unprecedented speeds without detection. In orbit, aboard the Zarkonian flagship, Commander Vexlor found himself increasingly frustrated. Every tactical advantage they had seemed to evaporate as the humans adapted at an alarming rate. "Report," he barked at his tactical officer. "Sir, we're detecting anomalies in sectors 17 through 23. Our ground forces are encountering increased resistance. And, sir, we're losing ships. Vexilor's antennae twitched in agitation. Losing ships? To what? Before the officer could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. On the tactical display, a series of explosions bloomed across their fleet's formation. What in the name of the Great Hive is happening? Vexilor roared. Zira, his second-in-command, rushed to a console. Sir, we're detecting energy signatures from beneath the planet's oceans. It appears the humans have some form of submersible craft capable of launching attacks from underwater. Vexilor's compound eyes widened in disbelief. Just when he thought he had seen the extent of human ingenuity, they unveiled yet another surprise. Back on Earth, in a hidden facility beneath the Sahara, Dr. Kwesi Okafor and his team had made a breakthrough with the mysterious artifact they had been studying. It's incredible, Okafor explained to the holographic projection of General Chen. The artifact isn't just a piece of advanced technology. It's a repository of knowledge from multiple alien civilizations, including early encounters with the Zarkonians. Chen leaned forward, her eyes intense. What kind of knowledge, Doctor? Everything, General. Scientific theories, cultural information, and most importantly, detailed analyses of Zarkonian physiology and psychology. With this, we can understand our enemy in ways they never anticipated. As the implications of this discovery sank in, a new strategy began to form. Humanity now had the means to not just react to the Zarkonians, but to anticipate their moves and exploit their weaknesses. In the skies above North America, a squadron of human fighters engaged a group of Zarkonian interceptors. But these weren't ordinary planes. Each was piloted by a human whose mind was directly linked to their craft, thanks to a neural interface developed by merging human biotech with Zarkonian systems. Squadron leader Maya Patel felt the rush of adrenaline as she became one with her fighter. All right, Thunderbolt Squadron. She communicated directly through the neural link. Let's show these bugs what we can do. The human fighters moved with impossible grace, their reactions faster than any organic pilot could manage alone. The Zarkonian ships, despite their advanced technology, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. As the last alien interceptor spiraled towards the ground, Maya allowed herself a moment of exhilaration. The neural interface technology was proving to be a game-changer, allowing humans to pilot craft with a level of skill and intuition that even the Zarkonians couldn't match. On the ground, the tide of battle was turning in other ways. Dr. Isabella Santos and her team had finally cracked the Zarkonian communication systems. Now, human forces could not only intercept alien transmissions, but also insert false information, sowing confusion and discord among the invaders. In a war room beneath London, British intelligence officer James Blackwood coordinated a global misinformation campaign. All right, people, he addressed his team of hackers and linguists. Let's make these aliens chase their own tails. With a few keystrokes, false orders and misleading intelligence began flooding Zarkonian communication channels. Entire battalions of alien troops found themselves marching into ambushes or defending against non-existent human attacks. As the Zarkonians struggled to discern truth from fiction, humanity pressed its advantage. Resistance cells around the globe, now armed with advanced weapons and real-time intelligence, began to push back the alien occupation force. In the heart of the Amazon rainforest, a coalition of indigenous warriors led by Rani Metuktyre, armed with a mixture of traditional knowledge and reverse-engineered alien tech, waged a guerrilla war that the Zarkonians found impossible to counter. Ryoni, his face painted with traditional war markings, addressed his fighters before a raid. Our ancestors protected this forest for thousands of years, he said, hefting an energy rifle adorned with feathers and beads. Now we defend it not just from invaders from across the sea, but from across the stars. The forest is our ally, and with its help, we will drive these aliens from our world. The raid was a resounding success. The Zarkonians, unable to navigate the dense jungle or cope with its myriad dangers, fell back in disarray. It was a scene repeated across the globe as humans used their intimate knowledge of Earth's varied environments to their advantage. In orbit, Commander Vexilor found himself facing a crisis. His once mighty invasion force was being picked apart by an enemy he had gravely underestimated. "Commander," Zyra reported, her voice tight with stress, "we've lost contact with our forces in Sector 12, and Sectors 7 through 9 are reporting heavy losses." Vexilor's mandibles clicked in agitation. How? How are they doing this? Before Zyra could respond, the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared as the tactical display lit up with new threats. "Sir," the tactical officer shouted, "we're detecting multiple launches from the planet's surface. They appear to be..." "Sir, they're using our own missile technology against us." Vexilor watched in disbelief as the human counterattack unfolded. Missiles, clearly of Zarkonian design but launched from Earth, streaked towards his fleet. The defensive systems, calibrated to defend against primitive human weapons, failed to intercept these familiar yet alien projectiles. As explosions bloomed across his fleet, Vexilor made a decision he never thought he'd have to make. "All ships," he commanded, his voice heavy with defeat, "fall back to the outer system. We need to regroup and reassess." As the Zarkonian fleet retreated, leaving Earth's orbit for the first time since the invasion began, cheers erupted in command centers around the globe. But General Chen, watching from her mobile headquarters, knew better than to celebrate too soon. "This isn't over," she cautioned her staff. "They'll be back, and they'll have learned from this defeat. We need to press our advantage while we can." As humanity began the process of rebuilding and fortifying, the true scope of their achievement began to sink in. In a matter of weeks, they had taken technology centuries beyond their own, and not only understood it but improved upon it. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, addressing a global scientific conference, summed up the sentiment felt by many. "What we've accomplished here is nothing short of miraculous. We've compressed centuries of scientific advancement into days. But more than that, we've proven that humanity's greatest strength is not our technology or our weapons, but our adaptability, our creativity, and our indomitable spirit." As the conference hall erupted in applause, the message was clear. Humanity had not just survived its first contact with an advanced alien civilization. It had thrived. The Zarkonians had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a species whose potential was only just beginning to be realized. In the depths of space, as the battered Zarkonian fleet licked its wounds, Commander Vexilor gazed at the blue-green world that had defied all expectations. For the first time in his long military career, he felt an emotion he had never experienced before: respect for an enemy. "You were right, Zyra," he admitted to his second-in-command. "We underestimated them. But this war is far from over. We'll be back, and next time, we'll be ready for whatever surprises they have in store." As both sides prepared for the next phase of the conflict, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had announced its presence on the cosmic stage, and the Zarkonians, along with any other spacefaring civilizations watching from afar, now knew that the inhabitants of the third planet from an unremarkable yellow star were a force to be reckoned with. The battle for Earth had become a crucible, forging humanity into something new, something powerful. And as the stars glimmered in the night sky, the question on everyone's mind was not if humanity would survive, but how far they would go now that they had been awakened to their true potential. The turning point. 3 months had passed since the Zarkonian fleet retreated to the outer reaches of the solar system. Earth, battered but unbroken, had used this time to prepare for the inevitable return of the alien invaders. Cities were rebuilt with advanced defense systems. The global military had been restructured and rearmed with hybrid human-Zarkonian technology, and a new sense of unity had emerged among the nations of Earth. In a fortified bunker beneath the ruins of Paris, now transformed into a global command center, General Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display of the solar system. Representatives from every major nation on Earth were present, either in person or via secure holographic link. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chen began, her voice steady and determined. "Our long-range sensors have detected increased activity in the Zarkonian fleet. We believe they're preparing for a second assault, but this time, we'll be ready." She gestured, and a hologram zoomed in on Earth's orbital defenses, a network of satellites armed with energy weapons and shielding technology reverse-engineered from Zarkonian tech, formed a protective web around the planet. "Operation Phalanx is now fully operational," Chen continued. "But our best defense will be a good offense. That's where Project Prometheus comes in." With another gesture, the hologram shifted to display a massive structure taking shape on the far side of the moon. It was a shipyard, and at its center stood humanity's first true interstellar warship, the UES Defiant, Chen announced with pride. Built with a fusion of human ingenuity and Zarkonian technology, it's faster, more powerful, and more advanced than anything in their fleet, and it's just the first of many. As murmurs of approval rippled through the assembled leaders, a priority alert flashed across the display. Chen's expression hardened as she read the incoming data. "It seems our timeline has been accelerated," she announced grimly. "The Zarkonian fleet is on the move. They'll reach Earth in less than 48 hours." In the shipyard on the moon, alarms blared as news of the impending attack reached the construction teams. Admiral David Chen, brother of General Sarah Chen, strode purposefully through the controlled chaos towards the Defiant's command bridge. "Status report," he barked as he entered. His XO, Commander Zara Okoro, responded promptly. "Admiral, the Defiant is at 92% completion. We're pushing the engineering teams to their limits, but—" Chen cut her off. "We don't have a choice. We launch in 24 hours, ready or not." As the crew of the Defiant raced against time, the Zarkonian fleet approached with grim determination. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Vexlor studied tactical readouts of Earth's defenses. "They've been busy," he muttered, a mix of frustration and grudging respect in his voice. Zira, ever at his side, nodded in agreement. "Indeed, Commander. Our initial scans show their defensive capabilities have increased exponentially. This will not be an easy battle." Vexlor's mandibles clicked in agitation. "No, it won't. But we have no choice. The High Command has made it clear. Either we take this planet, or we don't return at all." As the Zarkonian fleet entered the inner solar system, Earth's early warning systems sprang to life. Around the globe, civilians headed to reinforced shelters while military personnel manned their stations. In orbit, the crew of the International Space Station, now transformed into a command and control center, coordinated the planet's defensive grid. Colonel Yuki Tanaka, the station's commander, watched as the alien armada approached. "All stations, report in," she ordered. One by one, defensive positions around the globe confirmed their readiness. The orbital weapon platforms, ground-based energy cannons, and squadrons of advanced fighters all stood ready to repel the invasion. As the Zarkonian fleet entered weapons range, Vexlor gave the order to attack. "All ships, engage at will. Show these humans the true might of the Zarkonian Empire." The space around Earth erupted in a dazzling display of energy weapons and explosions. The Zarkonian ships, more numerous and still technologically superior in many ways, pressed their attack. But Earth's defenses, bolstered by adapted alien tech and human ingenuity, held firm. On the surface, in cities around the world, the battle took on a different character. Zarkonian dropships, managing to penetrate the orbital defenses, deployed troops into urban centers. But this time, they found no easy targets. In the rebuilt streets of New York, a squad of human soldiers led by Sergeant Maria Ramirez engaged a group of Zarkonian shock troops. Ramirez, her body enhanced with cybernetic implants that interfaced directly with her advanced armor, moved with superhuman speed and precision. "Charlie team, flank left. She commanded through the neural link. Delta, provide suppressing fire. We've got them pinned. The human soldiers, their movements perfectly coordinated through their shared neural network, executed the maneuver flawlessly. The Zarkonians, despite their natural armor and advanced weapons, found themselves outmatched by the seamless integration of human tactics and alien technology. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In the megacities of China, swarms of AI-controlled drones harass Zarkonian forces, guiding them into ambushes. In the African savanna, enhanced wildlife, elephants with energy shields, lions with adaptive camouflage, turned the alien invaders' unfamiliarity with Earth's fauna into a deadly disadvantage. But the true turning point of the battle came with the arrival of the UES Defiant. As the ship emerged from behind the moon, its presence sent shockwaves through both human and Zarkonian forces. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. All hands, battle stations, weapons hot. Let's show these aliens what humanity is truly capable of. The Defiant streaked towards the heart of the Zarkonian fleet, its advanced propulsion system leaving a trail of blue fire in the void. Its weapons, a hybrid of human and Zarkonian technology, lanced out with devastating effect. Vexilor watched in disbelief as the human ship tore through his fleet's formation. "Impossible," he muttered. "How did they build such a vessel so quickly?" Zira's voice was tight with stress as she reported, "Commander, we're detecting energy signatures we've never seen before. Their weapons, they're more advanced than our own." As the Defiant engaged the Zarkonian flagship, the tide of the battle began to turn. Human fighters, coordinating with the massive warship, exploited gaps in the alien formation. The orbital defense grid, given a moment's respite, regrouped and intensified its barrage. On Earth, news of the Defiant's success galvanized the ground forces. In London, Colonel Emma Blackwood led a daring assault to retake the Houses of Parliament. In Cairo, Dr. Amira Hassan coordinated a global team of hackers, disrupting Zarkonian communications and turning their own automated systems against them. As the battle raged on, it became clear that humanity was not just holding its own, it was winning. The Zarkonian invasion force, once seemingly invincible, found itself fighting a losing battle on all fronts. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, Vexilor ordered his flagship to engage the Defiant directly. The two massive ships clashed in the space above Earth, their battle visible as flashes of light to those on the surface. Admiral Chen gripped his command chair as the Defiant shuddered under the assault. "Status report." Commander Okoro's voice was steady as she replied. "Shield holding at 60%, Admiral. Their weapons are powerful, but we're giving as good as we get." Chen nodded grimly. "Target their main power core. Let's end this." The Defiant's main cannon, a marvel of human-alien hybrid technology, powered up. A beam of energy, more focused and powerful than anything the Zarkonians had ever encountered, lanced out across space. On his bridge, Vexilor watched in horror as the beam penetrated his ship's shields, as if they weren't there. Alarms blared as systems failed across the ship. "Commander," Zyra shouted over the chaos, "we've lost main power. Weapons are offline, and our shields are collapsing." Vexilor, for the first time in his life, felt the cold grip of defeat. He looked out at the blue-green world that had defied all expectations, at the human ship that outclassed his own, and made a decision. "All forces," he commanded, his voice heavy with resignation, "cease fire and stand down. The battle is lost." As the order spread through the Zarkonian fleet, an eerie silence fell over the battlefield. Human forces, scarcely believing their sensors, maintained their defensive positions. Admiral Chen, his heart pounding, opened a channel to the Zarkonian flagship. "This is Admiral David Chen of the UES Defiant. Do you surrender?" There was a moment of tense silence before Vexilor's voice came through, tinged with a mix of defeat and reluctant respect. "This is Commander Vexilor of the Zarkonian Empire. We surrender." As the news spread, cheers erupted in command centers and shelters around the world. Humanity had not just survived its greatest challenge, it had emerged victorious. In the days that followed, as Zarkonian ships were escorted to designated areas and peace talks began, the full impact of what had transpired began to sink in. Humanity, in the span of a few months, had gone from a pre-FTL civilization to one capable of defeating a galactic power. Dr. Isabella Santos, addressing a global audience, summed up the sentiment felt by many. What we've achieved here is nothing short of evolutionary. We've compressed centuries of advancement into mere months. But more than that, we've proven that humanity's greatest strength lies not in our technology, but in our spirit, our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to stand united in the face of overwhelming odds. As the world began the long process of reconstruction, a new era dawned for humanity. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned. And as the captured Zarkonian ships were studied and reverse-engineered, it became clear that this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same. Revelation and retreat. In the aftermath of humanity's unexpected victory, the solar system became a hive of activity. Earth's orbit was cluttered with the remnants of battle, disabled Zarkonian ships, debris from destroyed vessels, and the newly constructed human defense platforms. On the planet's surface, the process of rebuilding had begun in earnest, with cities rising from the ashes, stronger and more advanced than ever before. At Cheyenne Mountain, once the heart of Earth's military defense, and now transformed into a state-of-the-art diplomatic center, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered to meet with the defeated Zarkonian leadership. The cavernous main chamber, once filled with banks of computers and tactical displays, now housed a massive round table, symbolizing the new era of interspecies dialogue. General Sarah Chen, now appointed as Earth's chief negotiator, sat across from Commander Vexlor. The Zarkonian leader, stripped of his battle armor, seemed smaller somehow, his once intimidating presence diminished by defeat. Commander Vexlor, Chen began, her voice firm but not unkind. We're here to discuss the terms of your surrender and to understand why your empire chose to invade our world. Vexlor's antennae twitched, a sign of discomfort in his species. General Chen, he replied, his translator conveying a mix of resignation and bewilderment. I must confess, I gravely underestimated your species. Our intelligence suggested that Earth was ripe for conquest, a pre-FTL civilization that would easily fall to our superior technology. Chen leaned forward, her eyes sharp. And yet, we didn't. In fact, we defeated your invasion force decisively. How do you explain that? Vexlor's compound eyes seemed to dim as he responded. In all our conquests across the galaxy, we've never encountered a species like yours. Your adaptability, your innovation, your sheer determination. It defies everything we thought we knew about emerging civilizations. As the diplomatic talks continued, scientists and engineers from both species began the delicate process of technological exchange. In a vast hangar beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Kwesi Okafor led a team examining a partially disassembled Zarkonian battlecruiser. Remarkable, he muttered, studying the ship's faster-than-light drive. Their approach to warping spacetime is fundamentally different from the theories we were developing. This could revolutionize our understanding of physics. Beside him, Zira, the former second-in-command of the Zarkonian fleet and now a reluctant technical advisor, watched with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. Your people learn quickly, she observed. It took our scientists generations to develop this technology. You've grasped its basic principles in weeks. Okafor turned to her, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. That's the beauty of human scientific inquiry, Zira. We build on each other's knowledge, challenge assumptions, and aren't afraid to think outside conventional boundaries. With your people's knowledge as a starting point, there's no telling how far we can go. As humanity began to integrate Zarkonian technology into their own systems, the first waves of change swept across the globe. In the megacities of Asia, buildings began to stretch even higher into the sky, their structures supported by energy fields rather than physical materials. In the deserts of Africa, vast swathes of land were transformed into lush oases as atmosphere processors, adapted from Zarkonian terraforming technology, altered the local climate. But perhaps the most profound changes were happening in orbit. The UES Defiant, once a singular achievement, was now joined by a growing fleet of hybrid human Zarkonian vessels. These ships, each more advanced than the last, represented humanity's first steps towards becoming a true spacefaring civilization. Admiral David Chen stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, a massive orbital habitat that served as the headquarters for Earth's new Space Force. Before him, a holographic display showed the positions of human ships throughout the solar system. "Status report," he commanded. His eye assistant, an advanced system that had evolved from the neural interface technology used during the war, responded promptly. "Admiral, the Jupiter outpost is now fully operational. Mars colonization efforts are ahead of schedule. The Kuiper Belt mining operations have exceeded all production estimates." Chen nodded, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. In less than a year, humanity had expanded its presence throughout the solar system. But his eyes were drawn to the edge of the display, where a small fleet of ships was preparing for a historic mission. "And the Horizon expedition?" he asked. "Final preparations are complete, Admiral. They await your order to depart." Chen took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. With a gesture, he opened a comm channel to the lead ship of the expedition. "Captain Yuki Tanaka, this is Admiral Chen. You have final clearance for Operation Horizon. Godspeed." On the bridge of the UES Magellan, Captain Tanaka acknowledged the order. "Understood, Admiral. We're making history today." With a burst of energy, the Horizon fleet engaged their FTL drives, disappearing in a flash of light. Humanity's first extrasolar expedition was underway, bound for the nearby Alpha Centauri system. As news of the expedition's departure spread across Earth, it sparked a new wave of excitement and optimism. Humanity, so recently fighting for its very survival, was now reaching out to the stars. In universities and research centers around the world, a renaissance of scientific and philosophical thought was underway. The confirmation of intelligent alien life, combined with the rapid influx of advanced technology, had sparked countless debates and new fields of study. At Oxford University, Professor Elena Rodriguez addressed a packed auditorium, her lecture being broadcast globally. The Zarkonian invasion, while traumatic, has served as a catalyst for unprecedented growth and unity on Earth. We've been forced to confront fundamental questions about our place in the universe, our potential as a species, and our responsibilities as we step onto the galactic stage. Meanwhile, in the diplomatic center at Cheyenne Mountain, the negotiations with the Zarkonians were entering their final phase. General Chen, flanked by a team of advisors, faced Commander Vexler across the table. "Commander," Chen began, "we've discussed reparations, technology exchange, and the withdrawal of your remaining forces. But there's one more issue we need to address: the broader galactic community." Vexler's antennae twitched in surprise. "What do you mean, General?" Chen leaned forward, her gaze intense. "Your people aren't alone out there. There must be other spacefaring civilizations. We want to know about them. And we want to establish diplomatic relations." For a moment, Vexler was silent, his compound eyes reflecting the light of the chamber. When he spoke, there was a note of caution in his voice. "General, you must understand. The galaxy is not always a friendly place. Many civilizations out there would view your rapid advancement as a threat." Chen's expression hardened. "All the more reason for us to be prepared. We've demonstrated that we can defend ourselves, but we'd prefer to establish peaceful relations where possible." As the negotiations concluded, a new chapter in Earth's history began. The remaining Zarkonian forces prepared for their long journey home, leaving behind a changed world and a changed perspective on their own place in the cosmos. In the following months, humanity's expansion continued at a breathtaking pace. The Horizon expedition returned with data from Alpha Centauri, paving the way for the first extrasolar colonies. The reverse engineering of Zarkonian technology led to breakthroughs in energy production, medicine, and computing that transformed life on Earth. But perhaps the most profound change was in humanity's collective psyche. The knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, and that they could stand toe-to-toe with advanced alien civilizations, had unleashed a wave of confidence and ambition. 1 year to the day after the Zarkonian surrender, a global celebration was held. In every city on Earth, in the orbital habitats, and even in the fledgling colonies on Mars and Europa, humans gathered to commemorate their victory and look to the future. At the main ceremony in New York, now rebuilt with gleaming towers of energy-wrapped crystal, General Sarah Chen took the stage. The crowd fell silent as she began to speak, her words broadcast to billions across the solar system. 1 year ago, we faced the greatest threat in our species' history. We were invaded by a force that, by all rights, should have conquered us with ease. But we did not fall. We adapted. We innovated. We stood united in the face of overwhelming odds, and we emerged victorious. She paused, her eyes scanning the crowd. But our victory was not just over the Zarkonians. It was a victory over our own limitations, over the boundaries that had held us back for so long. In 1 short year, we have become a spacefaring civilization. We have colonies on other worlds. We have unlocked secrets of the universe that we once thought were centuries beyond our grasp. But this is just the beginning. As we look to the stars, we must remember the lessons of this past year. Our greatest strength lies not in technology, not in weapons, but in our spirit, our adaptability, our creativity, our unwavering determination in the face of adversity. These are the qualities that make humanity a force to be reckoned with. We stand now at the threshold of a new era. The galaxy awaits us, with all its wonders and its challenges, and I have no doubt that whatever we encounter out there, humanity will not just survive. We will thrive. As Chen's speech concluded, a massive holographic display lit up the sky, showing the Horizon fleet departing for its second expedition, this time to a distant star system flagged in the Zarkonian databases as home to another alien civilization. In orbit, aboard the Harmony station, Admiral David Chen watched the celebration unfold on the planet below. Beside him stood Zira, the Zarkonian advisor who had chosen to stay behind when her people departed. "Your sister gives a good speech," Zira observed, her translator conveying a tone of respect. Admiral Chen nodded, a small smile on his face. She always had a way with words, but everything she said is true. We've come so far in such a short time. Zira's antennae twitched in what Chen had come to recognize as a gesture of agreement. Indeed, I must admit, when I first came to this world, I never imagined I'd be standing here now, watching your people prepare to meet the galaxy at large. Chen turned to her, his expression serious. "Do you think we're ready for what's out there? You know the galaxy better than we do." Zira was silent for a moment, her compound eyes reflecting the Earth below. "Ready or not, you're going. That's what makes your species so fascinating. You don't wait until you're ready. You leap, and you learn to fly on the way down." She turned to face the Admiral. "And somehow, you always manage to soar." As they stood there, watching the celebration below and the stars above, both human and Zarkonian felt the weight of the moment. The invasion that had begun as a bid for conquest had instead become the catalyst for humanity's ascension to the stars. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had arrived on the cosmic stage, and they were here to stay. The adventure was just beginning, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if in anticipation of the remarkable journey that lay ahead. In the vast expanse of space, As news of Earth's victory and rapid advancement spread, other civilizations took notice. Some with fear, some with curiosity, and some with a growing realization that the balance of power in the galaxy was about to shift. Humanity, the upstart species from a backwater planet, had defeated one of the most powerful empires in known space, and now they were coming to explore the cosmos. The age of Earth's isolation was over. The era of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.